So Dr. Edwin has a PhD, ladies and gentlemen, in alternative medicine, and he is a registered member of NHASA, which is Natural Healers Association of South Africa. He owns a practice in Johannesburg, but I'm not going to talk too much about his practice. I would like to welcome him to take over and give us his teaching. We are going to only concentrate tonight on Procell. So what Doctor is going to share with us is he's going to take us through the background of the human body autonomy, and he's going to take us through stem cell and stem cell activators. And I would like everybody to mute their phone so that we can all hear what the doctor is about to share with us. And I think I will allow at the end of his talk a few questions, not too many questions, ladies and gentlemen, because he is going to be sharing with us each and every week. So I will allow a Q&A session at the end of the session. I think I'll keep it to a minimum of 3 questions for tonight, please. Welcome, Dr. Edwin, and can you please take over? I will try and also share the screens on my side of the stem cell. Thank you, and welcome, Doctor. Over to you, Dr. Edwin.
Yeah, thank you, Norma. We thank God for this beautiful weather. Right away, I will be moving in to discuss briefly on our product, especially the Procell. I will make a little introduction with regards to actually what Procell is all about. I will be speaking very briefly so that in the coming days, in the coming weeks, we will now be able to expatiate, because the product knowledge is the main weapon that we require in order to win people, convince them, and be able to make the sale. So having said that, I want to quickly and practically state that every one of us that has joined this particular team must recognize that we are in for a powerful revolution. Procell is a plant-based stem cell. That is very, very important point every one of us must register in our consciousness. This is very important because this genetic revolution that has to do with stem cell therapy is in fact the future of medicine. But in the present era, allopathic doctors and alternative doctors, their eyes are not yet open to this revolution. So first of all, I want to define what a stem cell is. Circulating daily throughout the body of every person of every age are millions of new cells produced and released primarily from the bone marrow, known as stem cell. The word cell is, we all know that a cell is a unit of every living organism. We have two sources we can get stem cells: animal stem cell and then plant stem cell, or we can say animal-based stem cell and plant-based stem cells. Animal-based stem cell is basically gotten from the embryo, animal embryo. And this embryo happens to be what we may call the stem cell bank in animals. I will talk about that in the coming weeks, but we want to concentrate on plant-based embryo, plant-based stem cells. Plant is the only natural living thing that God has created in order to supply mankind the necessary vital force or the energy they need in order to repair their cells and to rejuvenate their body system. Earlier on, when genetic engineers started researching on stem cell, they started with animal stem cell, and they hit with limitations and a lot of side effects. That is how plant-based stem cell was invented. So it is very, very important to note that plant-based stem cells don't have any side effects. And they are very, 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 very pluralic, that they can totally duplicate other cells in our human body. And what is loaded in the Procell is adult stem cell. Adult stem cell, which is produced in the bone marrow, originally was thought to only replenish or change the blood cells. But researchers suddenly discovered that the adult stem cell in plants, in specific plants, also can stimulate or activate the bone marrow so that they can produce undifferentiated stem cells, which when they get inside the body system can automatically duplicate or regenerate or repair a damaged cell in any part of our body system. And based on this, the Procell engineering, we call it cellular engineering, was brought into force. There's different kinds of stem cell in the market. But when I joined this team, I discovered practically there is extra input that makes this particular Procell more dynamic than whatever we have out there in the market. Because you can see in the issue of cancer, stroke, diabetes, sickle cell, stomach ulcer, as well as cardiovascular, and that this particular Procell can easily regenerate, repair the cells of these, repair their cells, and these problems will be easily overcome. There are two things we must know in healing process, whether it is in the allopathic healing or alternative healing process. You cannot cure any ailment without knowing the cause of that ailment. This is a standard philosophy in medicine. But with Procell or plant-based stem cell, you can cure any ailment. Just what you need to know is what is the name. You can just come, even without having a title as a doctor, ask somebody, "Madam, what's the problem?" You say, "Oh, I'm suffering from brain tumor, or I'm suffering from cancer or stroke." It's okay. Take this sachet, just put it under the tongue, allow it to break the blood barrier, go straight into the system. And within some time, if the doctor handling the case, the medical doctor handling the case is not aware of it, the man will be shocked. Because it is a standard philosophy that you cannot cure any ailment without knowing the cause. Number two, I want to point out, and then I will go further a little to explain what Procell can do, is in medical science, no medicine can control or handle inflammation nor dissolve a scar tissue. Most of the cause of these terminal cases as a result of cellular disorders. The present day doctors and I can say Western medicine, they don't know anything about cellular healing. The product that God has placed on our hands, the Procell, is such a wonderful product that can break a lot of barriers as regards to healing. Having said that, it is also very, very important that we understand the chemistry of how this product, Procell, works. I want to go back again to the cell. Basically, we know that the cell is a unit of any living organism. Stem cell practically is an extract from the cells of plants. The Procell is an extract from the cellular level of the plant. But every human being or every living thing has what God has planted inside the cell, which we call vital force. This force in that cell, whether it is a sperm cell, let's go back again to our human experiences, whether it's a sperm cell, the sperm is a cell, it moves and forms a zygote, mixed with the ovule, which is also a cell. A zygotification will start, and then there is a force inside the cells that keep on duplicating and multiplying until the embryo is formed. And immediately the embryo is formed, the human development now will commence. That embryonic cell is loaded with a lot of stem cells. And it is the duplication and the multiple multiplication of this embryo that brought about the cell division that made us to be human. When a child is born, you see the child is growing, developing and growing. So you begin to see practically that this cell is circulating on a daily basis. So our Procell actually is not a stem cell. The Procell is a bank of plant-based stem cells that activates into undifferentiated stem cells when it gets to the bone marrow. Immediately it gets into the bone marrow now will activate these cells, and then duplication, they start circulating all over. Most of the time, these cells normally move to areas where there is damaged cells. If the damaged cells, they are in the brain, automatically the stem cells will be also activated by the brain, straight to the brain. If it is on the liver, it activates it to the liver. But one thing is that as soon as these stem cells move to any organ, to any of the organs in the body, they now become differentiated. What does that mean? if the undifferentiated stem cells activated by the bone marrow through the help of the Procell that you have taken now moves to the heart, it becomes heart cells. So it looks like magic, it looks a miracle, but this is a great revolution in the field of medicine. And this is the future of healing. So if you look at it very, very practically, you will now be able to see that stem cell therapy is a solution for anti-aging. Those of us now who are in this group, immediately you now join this group, the first thing you have to do is start consuming these products, because Procell is a stem cell. What does that mean? It means that with the stem cell, you can regenerate, you can rejuvenate all the cells in your body. And the more rejuvenation you have in a cellular level, the longer your life will be. So the Procell is not just meant for sick people. Every one of us, this is an opportunity for you to live very long. So what is it that a Procell does in the body or in the cell of somebody who has cancer? What it does is the stem cell moves into the cell and start correcting the abnormalities. Most of the things that causes cancerous development, or what we call carcinoma, is inflammation. Inflammation is as a result of cellular disorder. When a particular cell in the body is deprived of either oxygen, or there is too much acidity in that cell, or there is a friction, and inflammation is formed. And immediately the inflammation is formed in that cell, the cell will become anaerobic, will be deprived of oxygen. The cell will be forced to start struggling, looking for a way to survive, to get oxygen. And then in the process, an acidic condition is created. It affects the other cell, and it gets into another cell. That's what we call mastitis. So by the time you throw in the Procell does not just go to where the area of the mastitis, where the cancer reaction is taking place. The Procell is absorbed in the body, and it moves straight into the bone marrow, because it is engineered and directed to break blood barrier. The absorption of the Procell is with speed. It's very fast. It's just like when you take an injection. When it gets into the bone marrow will now feel happy, because the bone marrow will see it as a food, as a raw material it can use now to generate more undifferentiated cells. So if you look at it very practically, you discover immediately we get to the age of 25, the number of stem cells that we generate as human beings will start going down. So when you now take in this Procell, it now generates a lot of undifferentiated stem cells, which will now start doing a lot of work. In the coming weeks, we'll be explaining what the number of functions, what happens when the stem cells are activated by Procell. But the most important work that it does is a regenerative work. It doesn't start from the organs, it starts from the tissue, from the cellular level. When the cells are regenerated, the tissue will be regenerated. When the tissues are regenerated, the organs will be regenerated. And when the organs are regenerated, the whole body system will be regenerated. So, in brief, application of this product will also depend the age of the individual who is consuming the Procell. Number two, the number of years or days or months the individual has been on that damage or terminal or degenerated condition. Because if somebody is suffering, let me say somebody is suffering from cancer, and the person has undergone chemotherapy and has been there for 3-4 years, it means that a lot of damage has taken place in the cellular level. It therefore requires that when you are bringing the Procell for such individual, you must prepare their mind at least to take it for a longer time, because you need now a lot of stem cells to be activated. So what I will want us to see the Procell to be is a stem cell bank that is activated when taken by humans in the bone marrow, which gives opportunity for generation of a lot of undifferentiated stem cells. The word undifferentiated means when these stem cells are activated by the intake and absorption of Procell, it can become the cell of any organ in the body, and that is too mysterious. And that is why stem cell engineering is expensive. There is a difference between a stem cell product and every other product, because there is what you call cellular speed. They are meant to be not in quantum level, but in quanta, something that is submicroscopic, and the speed is added to it so that as absorption, assimilation, and direction is given to the product. And if somebody also is used to consuming GMOs, fertilized food, the person's body system is no longer a natural body system. This Procell is packaged and engineered and produced in a way that it will have attraction and will work better with those with natural body. And so with this, I think the introduction, it must have been a good introduction. And then we will be able to take some few questions. I've just given a very brief introduction. We can now take some few questions based on what we have discussed. In the coming weeks, I will now be able to go step by step, explaining how the chemistry or the reaction, how does it take place? Because we are going to see some people will now take Procell, because of the level of toxicity in their body, they will have what you call healing crisis. I will be going further to explain as we encounter different people, sell the products to them, introduce new networkers. We are going to be having different kinds of experiences from different individuals based on their blood group, based on their lifestyle, based also on the what we may call, based also on their genetic code, and also based again on their nutrition. So with this, I would want to round up tonight, this evening, and I don't know if anybody has got a question so we can be able to share together. Thank you all for listening.